Good morning, my church friends. I hope you all had a good summer and that you had fun in our hot weather. I'm looking forward to the fall. I really am. This morning, I'm going to do a chalice lighting for you all. Okay, I'm going to light the chalice first. Okay, here we go. We're going to say our prayer now. We light this chalice to celebrate a Unitarian Universalism. We are the church of the open minds, the loving heart, and the helping hands. Together, we care for our earth and to bring peace and justice to our world. Okay, friends, I hope to see you soon, either on a video or perhaps a Zoom, and take care. Bye for now.
Hi children, it's Reverend Vicky, and I'm here in my own home tonight, just like you are in your own home. I'm actually recording this on Monday night, and I know many of you have started school again, those of you who go to school, and I'm thinking about you and your parents and your teachers and how strong and brave everybody is being in this very, very difficult time. It's a tough one. So you'll see that I have my chalice lit behind me, and we just saw Susan do our chalice lighting, but I'm going to do it one more time because I actually have the words right in front of me because I'm trying to learn this chalice lighting too. And it comes with the gestures, you know, the movements, and these are our words. So let's do this one more time together. This is our chalice lighting for children and youth. We light this chalice because we are Unitarian Universalists. We are the church of the open mind, the loving heart, and helping hands. Together we care for the earth and help to bring peace and justice into the world. So there it is. You know, I live with a dog named Max. And in his own way, he talks to me. And you'll see in a minute what I mean. But Max and I, just like you and your families, we don't always get along. We're together a lot, just like you are in your homes with your family members and your animals. And sometimes he gets kind of naughty, or I get irritating, and we get a little frustrated with each other. And sometimes he says to me, well, I'm sorry I was so naughty. And I always say to him what my parents used to say to me, which is, I don't always love what you do, but I never stop loving you. So I made this little video. I hope you enjoy it. It's called Getting Along. Maxfield, I did not want you to do that right now.
I'm just digging my bone, Mom. That's what I really like to doing right now.
I know you like to do it, but it's not what I wanted you to do.
You're being so bossy. Moms, please let me doing this.
Come on, let's not do that right now, okay? Would you please listen to me? Yeah, okay. Maxfield, come on now. Come here for a sec.
I'm ready to come in for a snack now for my lunch.
Okay, but before you can come in, let's clean this snout.
I don't like you to cleaning my snout, please.
Maxfield, Max, now. Come here. Come here. No more dirt. Come here, right now. Come here. Let me just clean this snout. Let me clean this snout.
I hate it. Mike, let it out. I hate it. Ugh. I hate it. Why you has to clean me my snout? I get it all dirty like I'm liking it.
Come here. Come here.
I like it like, Mom, I hate it.
Those are the rules, honey. We don't go in the house with a very, very filthy snout. Okay, I'm not trying to suffocate you.
You're trying to suffocate me.
Okay. Oh, so dramatic. What you doing?
Bury my bone.
No, 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 no. You are not allowed to dig there. No, Max, no. No. Taking the bone from you. No, you are not allowed to dig there. No, no, sir. That's a new plant we just put in. It has to have time to grow roots. Okay? I said no.
Why are you so mean to me? Why are you so mean? There's my bone.
It's a good place to dig.
No, it's not. You're not allowed to dig there. I told you that, okay? Sorry, no.
I hate that word. Why has to tell me no?
Because sometimes those are the rules. It's, no, honey, you don't always understand.
You get so mad at me.
I just got a little mad. I'm okay. You okay now?
Yeah, I'm okay. You okay now?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, I'm going to have a nap right here on my bed.
That's a great idea.
Get it a little tired out.
Yeah, naps are always such a good idea.
Moms? I'm sorry I got it so naughty this morning.
Oh, sweetie. It's okay. I completely understand. It's hard to remember all the rules.
It's hard to be a very good boy all the time.
It sure is. I understand that. I'm not always a very good girl all the time.
But you love me anyways, right?
I always love you. Even if I don't love what you do, I always love you so much.
Me too. I love you too.
I'm glad to hear that. You're my sweetheart. Look at that paw. Look at those paws. Have a good nap, honey.
Okay, see you when I'm waking up, okay?
I'll see you too. Our Jewish friends and neighbors are in the midst of the High Holy Days, and tonight at sundown begins the most solemn observance of Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, a time of fasting, repentance, and recognizing that we all have the power to do harm as well as to do good. We have focused recently on the harm committed by institutions and systems of domination, exploitation, and exclusion, erected over centuries and protected by human beings who have been only too eager to earn their own comfort and privilege on the backs and the suffering of others. Yom Kippur beckons us to reflect on our own complicity in such systems and also to understand that we are individually capable of hurting others and our world. Let us take a moment now to enter into that place of honesty known as prayer, and to encounter there our sins and failures, be willing to make amends for them, and to return to the ways of wholeness and shalom. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible,
we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
for each time we have struck out in anger without just cause,
we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again
each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For the selfishness that set us apart and alone.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For losing sight of our unity.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
And for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in
Hi, I'm sitting at my desk preaching. It's really weird. I just thought I would say that, just to kind of a check-in on this time. We are 6 months into this, and it feels to me like chronological time has so little meaning, because I know for myself, the days, the weeks, the months, they seem to either fly by or crawl interminably. So I kind of want to do a check-in with you, but I want to focus on our individual health, our individual emotional and spiritual health right now, inspired by the high holy days of the Jewish tradition, which are the most serious days. They're called the days of awe in the Jewish religion, and they're the days during which Jewish believers engage in practices of repentance and also making amends and reaching out to those they have harmed. It seems really, really hard right now to think about, oh my gosh, the people I have harmed when we're all going through all of this. And yes, we are going to look at that because that's human. to do harm. It's human to sin. And the origins of the word sin, the etymology of the word sin, really means, and you may have heard this before, it doesn't mean to be evil. It doesn't mean to destroy something forever. It actually, at its root, means to miss the mark. So we're sinners, you know, and it's not something that any of us are comfortable looking at or thinking about, and yet it's a reality. And the thing is that we cannot move through this time or any other time with strength and with health and wholeness, or shalom, if we don't acknowledge our capacity to do harm. So let me begin with a story. On 9/11, 2001, the original day, I was working with a congregation that did not have our own building. So I was planning to have a religious education committee meeting in my apartment, in my condo. And of course, I woke up that morning and watched television and went into total shock. I mean, unlike anything I've ever experienced. And at 10:30, the meeting was scheduled. And bless their hearts, my DRE, Director of Religious Education, Marta, and the chair of the RE committee, Chris, came to my condo and came in, and we all kind of went, oh my gosh, how are you? What's happening? And shared our consternation and our sense of fear and all of those things. And yet, check this out, we decided to continue on with the meeting. I mean, so we start having this meeting and we're trying to focus on business. And I think I had the television in the background. And here we are talking about religious education programming. And the world is falling apart. I mean, as far as we know, we don't know what's going on. You remember that time. And we were right outside of Washington, D.C. So, I mean, for all we knew, there were going to be bombs raining from the sky. It was just terrifying. But as is very typical for Americans, we compartmentalized. And we were trying to get through our agenda. And of course, being completely unable to focus, but thinking that we were focusing and doing our work, we got into a conflict about something. I have no idea what it was, something very small, I'm sure. And one of us started crying in frustration and just being flustered, you know. And then all three of us started crying. This is not a normal occurrence. I don't think I've ever been in a church meeting where people just started crying, you know, but it was the reaction to shock and trauma. And I said, wait, okay, wait a minute. What are we doing trying to have a meeting right now? This is nuts. Let's just stop right now and watch and see what's happening. So it was really it was a moment I have not ever forgotten, that we actually, the three of us, tried to stay on task during this really terrifying situation. It's a very typical thing in our culture to think that our mental perception is reality. So if I think I've got everything together, and if I think that I'm processing everything okay, then, you know, that must be what's real. But there's a whole other reality happening in multiple levels within us. And I know I don't need to remind you of this, but I do want to name the many reasons we share right now for the many causes of trauma. So we have obviously this invisible health threat, this dangerous virus that's out there. Then we have our democracy in peril with an election coming up in 5 weeks and mounting very legitimate fear about that. We see again and again in the news that Black Americans are brutalized by the system of policing in this country, and that justice is not served. And I think, and I will be talking about the theological implications of our collective, I think, those of us who have an optimistic theology, our collective, what's the word? disillusionment, despair. So when we live in this bifurcated way where the head is saying, I got this, I'm good, let's just continue through our agenda and have our meeting, and our souls and our bodies and our hearts are having this other experience. Psychologically, I know you know that that's a dangerous place to be. And that can lead to a lot of dysfunction, and that can lead to a lot of pathologies. And you may be seeing some of that play out in your own life right now. You might be seeing it in the form of eating disorders or addictive cravings that are really coming out right now when perhaps you'd been in recovery and that had been going well. Or perhaps this is coming out in the form of insomnia or really bad sleep hygiene. And I say these things not at all with judgment. When I say bad sleep hygiene, I don't mean bad. I just mean you don't feel good about your sleep patterns. So it's bad for you. Or it's coming out in the form of ragey outbursts. And it's coming out in the form of deep, deep depression or just a kind of grinding misery. So that's psychology. And I'm very, very grateful for the insights of psychology, but we are a spiritual community. And one thing I want to remind us of is that spirituality is a far more ancient modality than psychology. And spirituality teaches us that we are not just minds and beings that have these dysfunctions and these pathologies, that we are integrated, whole and precious beings, and that available to each one of us is not just psychological help, again, which I'm very grateful for, but also spiritual help. I lift up my eyes to the hills, whence cometh my help, said the psalmist. And spiritual tradition teaches us and invites us to participate in a way of life that presumes not that we are broken people with messed up minds, but that presumes that we are human beings who will engage in sinful behaviors because we're human. We will miss the mark like an archer sometimes shoots that arrow and it goes far astray from the target. It also spirituality assumes that there is a source of wisdom, love, care, and strength that is all-powerful, eternal, and accessible to each one of us at all times. And that's why we can look at our sin. That's why we can look at our brokenness without climbing into this pit of guilt and fear and saying, I'm such a mess. How am I ever going to get out of this? White knuckle fear, biting the fingernails. I'm terrible. I'm terrible to the people I love. Hey, okay. Psychology will inform us of that. Spirituality will also inform us that there is grace and that there is possibility and that there is evolution that can happen for each one of us, even right now. So that's why I thought, okay, yeah, let's talk about harm. Let's talk about the difficulty of living with this time, living in this time, and the kinds of hurt that it is inflicting on all of us that could and is potentially causing us to hurt others. There's that expression, hurt people. And so we can look at that in the context of our covenanted community and our spiritual beliefs in the eternal and inexhaustible love in which each of one of us is held without fear. We can look at it without fear, without resistance, and without that kind of compartmentalizing of self. So let's go in there, okay? I appreciated Seattle-based journalist Woo Dan-Yan's article in Medium called, Yes, You Might Be Becoming a Bit of a Jerk, which featured a series of psychologists explaining why we have a very hard time being our best selves right now. Like, we're exhausted from crisis fatigue. And so one of our defense mechanisms is to shut down and not care, which may cause us to feel despairing and helpless and very much alienated from ourselves. People right now view others as the enemy, since strangers could be carrying and transmitting the virus. That kind of paranoia and vigilance obviously creates a serious strain on community ties and on relationships, even with friends, even with family. Insights from the social sciences are really valuable right now, but in our desire not to commit intimate harm against those we know and care for, let alone strangers in the parking lot, I think that we need to rely on deeper and older ideas. For instance, the religious concept of covenant, which positions all of us as equally fallible and equally valuable in the larger scheme of creation itself. It's a good time then to ask ourselves, what might we adopt as both a personal covenant and a family covenant? That is, what sacred promises will we make to ourselves and to each other in response to the fact that we are all beings made in the divine image and we are all strained and stressed to our limits? Right now, and for the next season or two at least, we will all be abiding in the predicament of either too close or too far. Those of us who are living with others have to come to terms with the fact that we have a lot of power to overly influence the day and the lives of others who don't have the usual opportunities to escape our moods, our words, and our cruelties. This weekend would be a fine time for you to assess how you and those you live with have been doing together, to make amends if you need to, and to discuss mutual expectations, hopes, and opportunities to live more peacefully and more healthily moving forward into this next chapter of the coronavirus crisis. Even the smallest child can participate in that conversation. Now, if you are among the too far crowd, living alone, deprived of human companions, and dreading the lack of opportunity to meet outside with friends or loved ones during the cold months to come, make a plan. Recognize, as I have had to do, that grief and isolation can cause a sense of loss of self that can lead to everything from anger to mental confusion to paranoia. Monastic life is difficult even for those who have prepared for it for years and chosen it voluntarily. Involuntary monasticism can be spiritually dangerous and agonizing. Too far, too close. It's where we are. It's where life has brought us. When we began this ride 6 months ago, we were strapped into our seats without our consent, rolled up with no warning to the top of the roller coaster, and sent rocketing down the steepest hill with no safety checks and really sketchy seatbelts. We've been on the ride for a while now. We've lost so many. And I don't think we're capable of absorbing the magnitude of all of that loss yet. We're still in survival mode, most of us, and that's how trauma works. At this time, we can catch our breath, and we really need to. At coffee hour, I'm going to be in a breakout room to discuss what I see as the most common individual and family dysfunctions that are being exacerbated by the coronavirus crisis. So I hope you'll join me there. If you're wondering what the common dysfunctions are, they are controlling behavior, passive-aggressive behavior, and what I call storytelling, which is when we go off into making up reality in the dearth of actual information. We make assumptions and projections about what people are thinking or feeling about us. It's a dangerous room to go into in your mind. Life has given us so many rich opportunities of late to look out of our windows and say, oh, there, over there, there's lying and corruption and stupidity, failure, sin, harm. To maintain our integrity, to stay close to what is true, right, and good, we must also preserve a time for looking within our own houses, our own hearts, at our own actions, to humbly acknowledge that we are hurting. And in our hurt, we become ever more capable of causing hurt. In gratitude for the grace that is freely granted to all those who seek it, may we confess our failings. And when we do, sincerely and with a commitment to do and be better, may we forgive ourselves and each other. May we begin again in love.